Imagine standing before a glacier in Alaska. Every step pulls you closer to the unknown. Expeditions vanish without a trace, and the glacier spares no one. Dare to enter? In the far north of Alaska, where silence devours, sound, an expedition moved toward an abandoned glacier. The glacier was absent from modern maps, as if deliberately erased from human memory. The sky remained gray without sunlight, and the cold pierced bones slowly and cruelly. Each member felt the land rejecting them, yet curiosity silenced the fear. The expedition leader insisted the area was safe, and disappearance stories were ancient myths. With every step on the ice, the silence grew heavier and suffocating. Faint sounds began emerging like distant whispers from deep within the glacier. The whispers were unclear, yet felt as if calling specific names. One explorer suddenly stopped claiming he heard his mother's voice. Laughter followed, but died quickly in the frozen air. Electronic equipment failed without explanation. The compass spun violently, then settled, pointing only toward the glacier. They felt the ice beneath their feet, pulsing like a sleeping creature. The glacier towered before them like a white wall without end. Human footprints appeared suddenly, then vanished within seconds. No one knew if they were old or freshly made. The cold intensified, unnaturally, the closer they approached. They chose to camp despite an inner warning against staying. Night fell unnaturally fast, as if the sun fled. Silence became absolute, even the wind ceased. At midnight, a deep cracking sound echoed from the glacier's core. The sound was not ice, but something moving slowly. They felt watched from every direction. The glacier was not just a place. It was waiting. No one slept that night as silence became unbearable. Every movement inside the tent felt like an echo within the glacier. One man awoke feeling icy breaths touching his face. He opened his eyes to see ice closer inside the tent. He reached for the zipper, but found it completely frozen. Outside there was no wind, yet the sounds continued. Clear whispers now called his name. He tried ignoring them, but his inner voice responded. The rest of the team slept with stiff, dreamless faces. Their skin appeared pale as blood slowly withdrew. Outside, shadows moved across the ice. The shadows had no visible light source. They formed incomplete human shapes. Each shadow approached the tents, then vanished into the glacier. The ice released a low sound like breathing. The man felt the ground beneath him losing solidity. At dawn, they tried waking the leader with no response. When they opened his tent, it was empty. There were no footprints anywhere, as if the leader never existed. Fear overtook them, but someone claimed the leader went ahead. The compass stubbornly pointed toward the glacier again. They decided to move together, never separating. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the glacier had begun pulling them inward. They moved slowly toward the glacier, as if their feet no longer belonged to them. The air thickened, making breathing painful and strained. With every step, dark cracks appeared within the ice. The cracks looked bottomless, with no visible end. Familiar, horrifying voices emerged from within. They were the voices of missing teammates. One heard the leader calling his name. The voice carried no fear, only false comfort. They tried ignoring the calls, but minds began weakening. The glacier was not pulling bodies alone, but memories. Each one started seeing fragments of their past. Moments of regret, buried mistakes, and unspoken secrets. The ice reflected those memories like a twisted mirror. One man stopped suddenly and began crying without reason. He said he saw himself standing inside the glacier. His reflection was stiff with empty eyes. He screamed, trying to escape the vision, but a crack opened beneath his feet. The man vanished without resistance or sound. The crack did not close, it remained waiting. The others froze in place. They realized a glacier does not kill, it preserves. It keeps everyone who enters as part of itself, and their turn was approaching. Retreat was no longer possible as the glacier sealed the path behind them. Light began fading, though daytime had not ended. The icy walls moved closer as if alive. Within one crack, a frozen human face appeared. The face was familiar and terrifying. It belonged to a member of a lost expedition. His eyes were open yet lifeless. His lips moved slowly as if trying to speak. His voice emerged broken from inside the ice. He said the glacier does not allow death. He said they are trapped between awareness and oblivion. Everyone who enters becomes an echo that never leaves. The ice was filled with other faces. Faces screaming in eternal silence. Some dated back centuries. They felt time no longer existed inside the glacier. Minutes stretched into hours and vanished. One man began forgetting his own name. Another forgot why he came here. The glacier did not take bodies alone. It erased identities slowly. One person tried to escape. He ran blindly into the darkness. His voice suddenly stopped, leaving only the echo. The glacier fell silent, as if everything waited for their response. A narrow path appeared in the ice, lit by a faint blue glow. The light was unnatural, but drew them in irresistibly. One whispered it might be a path to salvation. Yet the voice sounded not entirely human. Each step within the corridor echoed strangely. The echo was not just sound, but repeated with their own voices. The icy walls shifted as if pressing them gently. The memories each had seen returned stronger. They saw themselves making wrong choices in life. The glacier seemed to say, "Every mistake will cost you here." One fell to his knees, crying uncontrollably. A massive, terrifying shadow appeared before them. The shadow looked like a mix of ice and human. It whispered, "You may survive, but no one returns unchanged." Everyone felt fear and confusion at the same time. The smell of ice changed like frozen blood. One tried to retreat, but the corridor closed behind him. They were trapped between the unknown and decision. The only choice was to face the glacier or merge within it. The others moved slowly toward the mysterious light. The calm was deceptive and the air heavier than ever. Each step brought them closer to a reality unimaginable. The glacier was not merely ice, but a living entity testing them. The experience was more than courage. It was a test of the soul, identity, and everything they possessed. The glacier offered survival, but at a price unknown. They approached the light to find a massive entity formed of ice and human shapes. Its eyes glowed cold blue as if reading their thoughts. The glacier whispered in a deep voice, shaking their core. It said survival was possible for those facing the full truth. The truth was they could not escape themselves. Each saw their mistakes and darkest secrets manifest before them. One screamed trying to hide, but felt ice wrapping around him. Silence became stronger than any known scream. The glacier gave no room for doubt or hesitation. Every step was a direct test of their inner courage. One began confessing mistakes in a trembling voice. The others felt the pressure increasing on their chests. The entity approached slowly, yet did not touch them. It observed, tested, discerning who deserved to remain. They saw reflections of themselves turning into what they truly feared. The glacier offered them only one choice: face the truth or merged forever into the ice. Time lost meaning, and each second stretched like an eternity. Many began crying and confessing what they had hidden their whole lives. The glacier was not just a place, but a supreme court of the soul. Survival was possible, but at a price none had known. The first to choose to face it felt a hand of the mysterious light. The air changed from crushing weight to a strange feeling of freedom. The rest stopped before the final choice. The glacier watched them in terrifying silence. The entity vanished, suddenly leaving them free to decide. Each felt their hearts beating with terror and fear. Yet awareness of survival grew stronger than any threat. The glacier fell silent after the entity vanished, leaving their final choice. The blue light weakened but did not disappear completely. Survival was possible for those who chose to fully face themselves. The first to step forward felt the air lighten slightly. He touched the ice, which strangely felt warm. Each internal confession turned into a feeling of freedom. The others watched the change, sensing the glacier silently testing them. One hesitated, but realized fleeing meant certain demise. Every step forward was a direct confrontation with fear. The glacier spared no weak souls, but rewarded those facing truth. The frightening voices disappeared as if they had never existed. Every frozen face in the ice began to smile gently. Survival became reality, but at the cost of complete internal transformation. Those who chose to face it felt part of something greater. The entity returned briefly to confirm their courage, then vanished completely, leaving them with freedom and calm. The air became pure and the blue light turned natural. The glacier returned to silence, yet it would never forget those who entered. The survivors left the passage carrying the weight of the experience. They were no longer the same, more aware of life. The glacier took a part of each, but granted a new chance. The experience taught them that true horror is not in ice, but in confronting oneself, past mistakes, and hidden choices. Survival was a choice and courage was the key. Everyone who remained alive understood the true nature of the glacier. And in Alaska's cold silence, the glacier continued to watch for the next,